video that, again, I want to mention, I am not a doctor, I am an artist, but I have spent many years hunched over a piece of paper drawing, and I like to draw really detailed. So usually when I'm drawing at my studio, I will find myself in this position where I'm like, my eyeball is almost touching the page. It's not a healthy practice. So what I've found is that over the years, I have had back problems. And I actually had back problems that started when I was really young, and that was because I was in a pretty bad car accident when I was 17. And I was a senior in high school, and the next year I went to art school and started trying to keep up with people that were twice my size. You guys can't tell by watching me here on the camera, but I am really short and relatively small. So I was, using young, unhealthy coping mechanisms, feeling like I'm going to be able to keep up with everyone who's twice my size, and didn't do anything for special accommodations and developed a lot of back problems because of it. So I've done many things over the years. I've had a yoga practice for 17 years that really helps me to keep my back from being in pain. I've seen chiropractors, I've seen osteopaths, I've seen acupuncturists. I've done a lot of different work in order to try to maintain a better, healthy condition of my back. But this year I found this book, and I want to say that it's probably single-handedly made one of the larger differences in the way that I'm sitting. And you would think that with a yoga practice that I would have a little bit more awareness of where my body is when I'm drawing. But I can tell you that as soon as you get really focused on a project, usually body awareness kind of falls away. Just like, your awareness of the fact that your taxes are due, or your troubles about your relationship or anything like that. That's one of the beauties of having an art practice, is that time flies and you don't notice what's going on. You're sort of lost in this inner world of making, and it's a really beautiful meditative state. But because of that, sometimes you find yourself 4 hours later in this position, and when you get up, your back is quite sore. So this book I found really recently within the last year, and it's made a huge difference in how I'm sitting when I'm drawing. And I'm finding that that has made a big difference in how I'm sitting when I'm relaxing, or when I'm driving, or when I'm out to eat with friends, or just on my time away from the studio. So let's take a look at the book. The book is called 8 Steps to a Pain-Free Back, and it's by Esther Gokhale, I want to say. And she's actually a relatively well-known specialist in back pain. I had never heard of her before, though. And the two things that I want to say have made the biggest difference for me, she's got lessons on how to walk and what positions to sleep in order to create some traction and some space in your vertebrae. But the thing that's made the most difference for me is learning how to sit properly. So in yoga, there is a lot of talk about how to use your core strength and how to sit, but it's actually a little bit different than this recommendation of sitting. And what I like about this book is that she has tons of pictures. She has so many pictures of both people, standing and sitting properly and improperly. She has pictures of people from all across the world, because people in other cultures tend to sit in a better posture than people in Western cultures. So she gives a lot of guide, both in the images and in the explanation. So this lesson in stack sitting has made a big difference for me. This is your proper way to sit. This is how I usually was sitting when I was drawing. And then this is another improper way, where you're sort of swaying your back or arching your back and straining your muscles in order to sit. So the lesson in stack sitting has made a really big difference. And she gives you some tips, like you can put a wedge of folded towels or blankets or a cushion under your seat in order to help create the method of stack sitting. She gives a lot of other pictures. and explanations so that if you feel lost as you're starting to practice this, you can come back to the guides and learn more about it as you start to understand what's going on with your body. The other lesson that's helped quite a bit for me is one that's called using your inner corset. So in this, you're actually going to be stretching and using the muscles of your core much more when you're sitting. And between those two lessons, I've actually found that there's a really sweet spot that I can sit in where I'm straining my muscles less in order to sit up straight. And what it's done is it's just really broadened my whole way of sitting so that my shoulders are less forward and I'm not straining my muscles in order to hold them back. So this book has made a really big difference to me in my health and my comfort this year. And I look forward to exploring more of the resources that she has to offer. And I just want to encourage you to be mindful of your own posture and your body and your breathing as you're making your artwork, because it can be an all-consuming practice. You can get lost in it. That's one of the joys of it. But you can also create some bad habits and damage that will cost you all that joy in the long run. So if you can be mindful of it now, especially when you're young, I know some of you guys are teenagers or in your 20s and you're not thinking about it, but when you're old, like I am, it's going to start to hurt. So you want to do something to protect yourself and make this a habit that you can really come back to again and again and enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, LZM Studio, where I frequently release quick tips and all kinds of different ideas about drawing. Also check out my Facebook and my Instagram page. I like to show photographs of my artwork, of my students' artwork, and share funny stories from my students on those pages. And then check out my website, lzmstudio.com, where you're going to find more inspiration and full-length, detailed tutorials.